eBay and Amazon room. I've got a bit of a mess going on between the garage, the mess I've got down there, and what I've got up here. I'm trying to switch rooms, and we've had a wedding, we've had a daughter move out, it's just a lot going on here. So I'm trying to get some of it organized, some of it squared away, and I'm about to set up my custom made closet. By closet I mean it's a place to hang your stuff. It's not enclosed and it's made out of PVC, but this is a very inexpensive way to store your clothing. And you know, whether you're selling on eBay the clothes, or if you just need extra space and you got somewhere to set up one of these PVC custom made closets, it's a great way to do it. It can be done for under $50 depending on the size of the space that you're doing. So just to start off with, I wanted to show you a few of the things you're going to need. You're definitely going to need PVC piping. I bought the 1.25 inch. It's plenty sturdy. You can see how thick that is. It is hollow, which makes it lighter and easier to deal with, but it's still plenty thick. I haven't had any issues with it. I'll show you a couple ways to do it to keep it from bowing and snapping on you or anything like that. But you're gonna need some piping, and you're gonna need some different. I got a PVC. This is a T here, and then I've also got a cross. And the crosses are like $2.75 at Lowe's, and these are like $1.25 each. They're really inexpensive for what you're doing, so you need some of those. And you're gonna need a tape measure. You need that. Mallet, you don't necessarily have to have it. You can use a regular hammer. You don't even really need that. It just really helps to secure things in place. And you'll need a marker. Markers make it a lot easier to see on there. And you'll find that you're going to need some spare blocks of wood. I just got an old 2x4 here that I cut. You'll need that. And you're obviously going to need something to cut with. If you need to cut any of the 2x4s or any scrap wood you have laying around, you can even use books. I'll show you how to use that in a minute. You'll need a circular saw for that. And you're also going to need, what I found the best way to do it is to just use a Sawzall to cut through the sides here. And it cuts straight through. It cuts like butter. I won't be showing you any of the cutting today. It's just I've got it all cut, and I think you guys can figure out how to cut things. If not, look up YouTube how to cut things with a Sawzall, and I'm sure there's many videos out there. So you're going to want to measure the space that you have available for your custom closet here. And I'm making mine, I've got plenty of room for mine. Mine's right at 4 feet by almost 6 feet long, and I have plenty of space here. Yeah, I've got almost 2 feet if I wanted it. I've got more space than I really need here, and that's a good thing. But make sure that you measure beforehand, write all your measurements down, and then start off with a plan. Now when you measure, it's helpful to have a Sharpie handy, have a permanent marker, so that you can mark, and it shows up really clearly on this PVC piping, as you can see. And what I like to do, it's really helpful, is if you're going for whatever you're going at, make a Y there, so you know to aim right there in that middle part when you go to cut. Now something to consider when you're measuring and then when you're cutting is that the T's and the crosses here, there's going to be a gap here in the middle. So if you're trying to get into a tight spot, or you want to make sure that when you're measuring, show you on this completed one, when you're measuring the length here, it really needs to match, it has to match the length on this side. So be very accurate in your measurements, and you can see on the inside here, it's going to stop. Hopefully you can see. If you see where that little carve out is, the PVC pipe is gonna push into there, and it's gonna stop on that. But just like I have these two pushed all the way against, you're still gonna have this void here. So you need to account for that and count that into your measurements. Or the best way to do it, if you're doing two lengths, like the two bars I have going on the side there, if you're doing those, if the PVC pipes are exactly the same size, then this piece in the middle isn't going to matter as much. The problem you're going to come into is if you've got a certain height restriction within what you're staying in. If you've got plenty of wiggle room on either side, there's a really good way to do it, and what I would do is I would measure a whole piece, because these pipes come in 10 to 12 foot sections and up, somewhere in between there. But if you just measure the pipe and you account for a guesstimate in between there, it doesn't have to be accurate. If this is if you had the space, you can measure these completed all the way across, have all of these be the same height, find the middle by measuring the length of it. Say you cut it down to 8 foot tall, find the middle point, which would be 4 foot, cut it in half, and then that space, if you have enough room in your measurements, that space, as long as it's the same on both sides, it's not going to matter. So now that you've determined your layout, you've measured everything, you've cut your pieces down, one thing to keep in mind is you don't want to just make a complete square. If I made just a complete square from all the way here with one piece of piping all the way across, when you go to put clothing on here, that is most definitely going to bow. I mean, if you got a short run like this, I'd say no more than maybe 3 feet tops before you come to a break like this and you have some support underneath it, because when you get clothing on top of there, it's going to get really heavy. And you know, people don't think about the weight of clothing, and one piece of clothing isn't really that heavy, but when you start putting 30, 40, 50 pieces on something, I've seen even metal bars bend over time. And the more you put weight on metal bars, even if it's, you know, if it's like most metal bars that are in just a closet, those will even start to bow. So you got to be careful about that. That's something to keep in mind there, is you'll want to put a T there in the middle and a T in the bottom so you can have a support here in the middle. Another thing that I do, and this is kind of planning ahead, is you can see here I've got, and you'll see what this is for here in a minute, but I've got this cross here so that I've got a piece coming out, but it's also coming out of the other side here. And then what's nice about the T's is when you put them on the side like this, I've got it going up as well. So if I want to add on to this at some other time, it's going to be very easy to add on to and adjust. That's what's really great about using this PVC piping. It's cheap and it's very easy to manipulate. Another thing, I do not put glue on mine. So I would highly recommend not putting glue on them, because if you go to move it, you're going to have to cut it all down and you're going to have to start all over. This will hold just fine without any glue on it whatsoever. So keep that in mind. Next thing I did here with mine, and again, it's custom made so you can do with yours how you want, is I put the bars here because you'll find out if you're just going to put this one piece here. I've seen people put them on rollers and different types of things, and you'll need different types of supports here at the bottom. And there's ways that you can do that, but for me, and what I was looking for, is I'm going to have two of these square type pieces on each side, so I've got multiple places that I can put it. And you're going to see I have right here the other half of it already all made up, so it's just a matter of pushing the pieces in together. It's like a giant Lego set or erector set. So now I've got my pieces pushed together here. And something I like to do, and this is where the mallet comes into place, take the mallet and go around and just tap. Make sure that you're getting a nice tight fit on everything. And you can do this as you're going along as well, and I did on most of it. And it just keeps it nice and tight. And then you won't need that's why you won't need the glue. Now you will see that if you go to take it apart, that you may need the mallet again, because that is really hard to take off. But if you hold on to this, that's a lot easier to do. And a hammer is just going to be too much. That you could use it, but if you're going to use the hammer, use a piece of wood or something else behind it with the hammer. You couldn't really see that. Use the hammer piece of wood behind it so that you got something that's not the hammer hitting straight on it. I'm going to show you some details of it here in just a second. While I've got the wood in my hand, this is where the wood becomes very handy. And I am going to go ahead and take this off now, because I know you may be having trouble seeing this. But the wood right here is a good place. That's exactly where I put it. It helps hold the top here, and it may be bowed up a little bit. You see that slight arc there. As I go to put clothing on here and it gets heavier, that piece of wood is really going to support it, because on this side I don't have a piece of wood underneath it, and there will be a small gap underneath where my toe's at, and you can see that'll push down, and you'll start having bowing there. It's when you're on harder surface. I'm on carpet right here, so it's not nearly as bad, but when you're on a harder surface you really start noticing it. But it's very helpful to have something underneath there to support that. I'm cheap though, and it was cheaper for me to put the I had scrap wood, so it's cheaper for me to do it this way. You could get another the cross one, and if you put a cross one there, you're gonna match up and you're gonna be fine all the way across there, but I just didn't have the time to do it and didn't feel like doing it. So you guys kind of get the idea of what we got going on here, and hopefully this helps you guys out, and you can just kind of see what I've got going on here with mine. What I need to do is, for me, I'm going to take and put another piece up here so that I can put the bar across. This worked well for me in my garage. Now that it's upstairs, I'm going to have to fix it a little bit different, change it up a little bit. But these bars in between it, instead of trying to fit something on the bottom, this really, it's really pretty sturdy for what you've got on here, what it is, and for how much I spent on it. And there you have it, man. Hang your clothes up. If you get in a narrow spot, you want to make sure that you measure the distance between the hangers that you're going to use, so that you know that you got enough room, because if you try and do this and it becomes too narrow, you won't be able to hang it up. Everyone's doing well out there. If you got any questions, post them down here in the comments down there, and just let me know what questions you got, or if you did anything different, it can help out other people. Post it down there in the comments, and it'd be great to see other people and what they're doing. And if you do go and make one of these, send me a picture. I want to see how you did with it, and let me know if you pulled your hair out or if it's as easy as it was for me. So again, I hope everyone's doing well out there. Good luck in everything you do, and God bless.